Kids, this is Jurassic James, and on this Jurassic James Explains, we're doing Deinonychus. Now, I know raptors are a big deal, or what we call raptors, and I'm going to go over that in more detail, but this is a topic I was kind of looking forward to because, well, you'll see why. So first of all, same rules as before, older models to newer models. We go over the ecology, the geology, all those things too. But the first one I want to show you is this guy here, because I didn't realize it, but there aren't a lot of raptor figures, but I'll talk about that more later. This is what most kids in the world get when I think raptor. They get this little thing here in a pack of 10 or 12. And again, I can't say for sure that it's Deinonychus, but compared to other dromaeosaurs or raptor, the family we probably call raptor, its features match more with Deinonychus than others. So that's why I kind of grouped it in here. But this is the average person's exposure to this animal. So one thing to point out that's really cool is you can't quite see it, but it actually has dromaeosaurs actually have 4 toes. They essentially walk on 2. Actually, be like this. They essentially walk on. They don't have a pinky foot on a toe. They walk on 2. You see 2 goat tracks. The big claw sits like this. There's a little dew claw actually. Given the size of this figure, I don't expect a dew claw, like the hallus little bone there. But it does have 3 major toes. On the hand, there are 3 claws. Of course, raptors, any dinosaur, predator dinosaur, can't hop their arms like this. They're palm to palm. So again, given what it is, it's like, okay, I get the point. The next one I have is actually came out. The company's MT 1993. I can't find much on this company, but this guy came out the year of Jurassic Park. And of course, this story's been told on YouTube 1,000 times, so I won't tell you it again. But the big picture is, when you think of Jurassic Park Velociraptors, they were kind of basing it on this thing here. Crichton was writing Velociraptor because it was a cooler name, and Deinonychus is not a really cool name. Now, I'm not saying that in disrespect to Dr. John Ostrom, who found the animal. It's just that, I mean, it means terrible claw, and that matches up perfectly. But it's just that this is the animal you're thinking of. And again, if it were not for Jurassic Park, Deinonychus really would have been really big. In fact, it's kind of like, I always imagine that the dromaeosaur, or the raptor family, are like Destiny's Child, and Velociraptor is like Beyonce, just went its own way in the history of paleontology and dinosaurs. Anyway, but this guy is pretty good. I mean, again, the hands are the wrong way; they're not palm to palm. There's a dew claw, and I'm very proud of that. It's really good. The tail's stiff and straight. So in 1964, 65, John Ostrom found Deinonychus, and he was not the first dromaeosaur found. Dromaeosaurus was found earlier on, Velociraptor in the 1920s, but those were smaller animals. So this guy was the biggest of the animals, and the idea of dinosaurs being warm-blooded or highly active was not a new idea. Actually, it was a very old idea from the original findings in the 1800s, but it kind of just died by the wayside. So when Ostrom found this guy, he's like, this animal has light bones. It's it's very fragile compared to other dinosaurs. It has to be kind of fast. And he had a student there, and the student's name was Dr. Robert Bacher. Yes, that Bacher, the guy I told you was like my hero in paleontology. So imagine Ostrom like the Qui-Gon Jinn of like paleontology. So the sketches you see that show it with feathers, and again you're like, what's the big deal? This is like back in the 60s. Like the animal was published in 1969. That's when the paper came out. And you're saying, wait a minute, they found it in the mid 60s and it get published in 69. Yeah, what you don't know in paleontology is you find a skeleton, you have to dig it out and prep it and then do your research. And so it's always a period between finding it and publication. So anyway, so Bacher writes, Charles with skeletons, skeleton with feathers, everything, and the tail being stiff is important because if you see a skeleton, and I encourage you, if you want to be a paleo artist or paleontologist in general, to go to a museum. The idea is that if you see the skeletons and see the shape of the skeleton from all the angles, you can appreciate it more. So the tail has all these tendons running along there, and it's only flexible at the base. So Ostrom's whole idea was like, a cheetah or a lion, run after its prey. The animal banks left, the tail moves like a rudder, and it banks left, kind of like that. Well, that's the idea he used here, and the tail is being stiff, something kind of common in this animal particularly. Well, supposed to be at least. The skulls always have like the look of a Deinonychus skull is like this weird, just like dinosaur head. I've seen it on Allosauruses, I've seen it on bad T-Rexes, like those this design of head you're seeing on almost all these guys is always wrong. It's just like big Komodo dragon head kind of, but it left more frills, It's very frustrating. So one of my complaints historically was there aren't a lot of Deinonychus figures. I mean, I have a lot here, but these are hard to took me time to get these guys. This guy here was he's out of scale my whole collection, but it was like one of my first non-tiny Deinonychus, so I was like, get it. And this is the idea of the animal. He said, well, it looks like a big sluggish tail dragging thing, and it does. But even then, this design is more lightweight than the earlier dinosaur designs. Yeah, it has this kind of gut here. Yeah, it's dragging its tail, but you have to understand it's an improvement on the dinosaur toys from this era. So, fun fact, it has a tiny little dew claw right there, the hullus bone, first toe up. So the toes are correct. The hands, and again, all of their hands, except for the newer guys, are incorrect. So again, it's like, if when I was a kid, it's like, look at me, I'm a raptor, because I grew up in the 90s. But the truth is, you would have these 3 fingers down. They don't have these fingers, and their hands would palm to palm. And just like we have a thumb, their first claw would be not going the same direction, a little bit higher up like that. So these guys have a general like that hand, and that's something that just it carries on. The finger length should be different. The arm length should be different. So it's just like you can't even see. We have our humerus, ulnar radius, metacarpal here, and phalanges are fingers, and like the hands are longer than that. Like the classical metacarpal is longer than that. But again, they're generic dinosaur design. When I found this one, again, I don't have their company names. It just have been like made in China at the bottom. But this guy, he stuck out to me because it has feathers here and there, and that's a relatively newer idea. I mean, as far as fossil evidence proof, that finding a velociraptor with the little nodules on its radius that show it had feathers on the arms. So this tells me dating this toy, it has to be like in the 2000s, maybe. I don't know. If you don't know, like if you have an idea, tell me in the comments. But yeah, look at that, great. So the idea here is that this guy has the dew claw, which is, oh wow, I just realized it has like these 2 spurs. That's weird. I've never. Okay, so that's wrong. The idea is that you have the dew claw on the side and the big claw on the 2 right there, and there's these 2 spurs there. And I don't know why they did that, because like, if there's something that I don't know about, like, again, comment below. Anyway, hands are dress apart generic. The feathers here, you often see dinosaur feathers. It's based on their more distant dromaeosaur cousin Microraptor, that they have they always see dinosaurs with just tough here. But there's a thing in science, a form of science called taphonomy. It's between like death and fossilization. So the animal, just because it's fossilized there, doesn't mean it died there. It could have been moved or scavenged upon, or as it got buried. In this case, we think that the Microraptor skeleton, if it got crushed, the feathers that were all here got pushed together like a mohawk almost. So now the artists are putting all these dinosaurs have mohawks essentially behind the head. So anyway, that's the thing. This guy here, this company, I see it at Walmart and some like museum gift shops, and this guy is too portly. I mean, it would be different if it were like a thinner animal and had like feathers. I mean, it looked kind of fluffy, but this guy, like he just had a full meal, or maybe they were going for another animal and said, make it into Raptor at the last minute. But I mean, the tail pretty straight and stiff. Not long. The tails are all short. One of my complaints about dinosaur toys is the tails are too short. All of them. I think it's like a packaging thing, or some companies have the tail come off. You put it on when you get there. That's fine. Like Rex and Toy Story. But that's like a thing that all the tails are always like too short. And always like this. I don't know what. Okay, anyway, I'm getting angry just thinking about that. The point is, so again, on the foot, you have your dew claw, your big claw. So the feet are correct for the most part. They're not elephantine. They're kind of thin. Again, this animal's huge, like wide girth. If you look at humans are weird because we are like flat like this, but dinosaurs have like the ribs go down, and they will be narrow compared to most dinosaurs. Right? Ceratopsians are weird, Triceratops. But the idea is that this guy's kind of like really portly, which is not. I mean, I don't know. The hands again, same as before. They are the generic 3. Let's say Allosaurid look assumption, but not really anyway in the first place. But anyway, this guy, you see the thing. I went to Dinosaur World near Glen Rose, and they had this guy, and I only bought it because this review, and also it's another Deinonychus, and like I said, I have very few of them, so it's like, hey, there's another example of this thing. It's this squeaky toy. So dew claw, So that's bonus points. There's a toe claw here, the feet are right. Hands are same design. They all have the same design. Like you just kind of, it's like when the Dilophosaurus was seen the false neck frill in Jurassic Park, and now like other companies make Dilophosaurus figures with neck frills. Like no, like talk to a scientist, call a museum, something. Anyway, so my quest for Deinonychus, I found this on eBay. It is apparently a game piece. I'm not into all the gaming board things, but it has feathers, the tail is straight. I think it doesn't have a dew claw, but given the size, it has, this one like was like at the time, especially my most accurate Deinonychus. I'm very proud of this guy. I was like, wow, look at that. He has a, his dorsal vertebra. Okay, we have in humans our cervical, of course, neck. You have where the ribs come out, thoracic, lumbar, sacrum. Dinosaurs have the dorsal like here instead of a thoracic and a lumbar, they got the dorsal. So this one, the dorsal, it goes up like that, which we see the arch like that. The head. The only problem I would have with this guy is that it appears that the vertebra goes in the bottom of the skull, not the back of the skull like it should. I mean, yeah, if they have a shaped neck, which is cool, but you're like changing that part of it, so that's not cool. Then Jurassic Park 3 came out, and they had their own Velociraptors, and this is a repaint of that guy. Now, first, there's like malls. In Houston, we had this thing called Sharpstown Mall, and I see this in some stores and gift shops. I think I got this one actually in the Whiteside Museum in Seymour, Texas. So if you're ever in like North Seymour, Texas area, go to that museum. It's really cool people there. And there was a pack in there. So they took, the museum, the company that sells these, took the Jurassic Park 3 male Velociraptor mold. I could talk about it, or I can show you, right? Oh, yeah, they're breeding out of control here. That's gonna be fun later. So this is the Jurassic Park 3, like the male raptor, and they just redid that one. But the cool thing is they named it Deinonychus. So even though Deinonychus is not as tall as the ones in the movie, it still was like better. It's not Velociraptor, And the features of the skull are, I don't want to go over that. The point is, that's what we're seeing here, is Deinonychus. The thing that annoys me about the Jurassic Park 3 and these guys is that the Jurassic Park 1 and 2 figures had like the dino damage. You pull the skin out when they get injured. And in Jurassic Park 3 and the first Jurassic World just had like open wounds. I've mentioned this before, but anyway. So this is what we're looking at for Deinonychus for so long. And then I go into the museum, I think in Houston, museum's gift shop, and they had this guy. And I was like, what? What's going on here? Actually, no, I bought this one at Dinosaur World, actually, in Bastrop, Texas again. And I saw this guy, and I was like, oh my, but if you're in Houston, it's there too. When I saw it, I was like, what kind of new dinosaur is this? Like some kind of dromaeosaur. And I looked at it closely, and I'm like, wait a minute, and it's Deinonychus. And I was like, finally, after all these years, a Deinonychus that looks like something birdish. Before I start gutching, I'll tell you, I like the feathers. Like, cause usually dinosaurs, well, not these guys, but some of them have the feathers start like right here and going down. Like they have like an ape face and then have behind just feathers. The feathers will start on the face, actually. Imagine, I always tell kids my tour, imagine a turkey with a lizard face, but like feathered to a certain point. The arms are cool because they're tucked in the side. Now, they can't go in as far as a modern bird, but you can still see it tucking in here. And again, in the hand, feathers will start here and going out like that. So the idea is that you have that kind of shown as well. The claws on the feet are pretty cool. The dew claw, the hoof is kind of further back, but artistic license. The colors are neat too as well. I mean, like I said, we don't know for sure. There's research now, and I'm pretty sure by the time this video uploads, it'll be new out there. But about colors and scans and things, but it just has this really neat look. And this guy was like, yeah. Now everyone here, their tail's going down to help them balance, except for this guy who's bouncing on his hand, or this guy's on his hand. So this one, the tail is the balancing point, but it's not on like, they did it as good as possible because you have these two legs and 2 toes on each one to balance the animal off, and they're tiny. So that's good. I approve. Jurassic James approved. Yes, this is a really cool figure, and it made me very happy. Like if I could turn back time like Thanos, I would just have a lot of these, not these. But anyway. And then I have a friend named Jorge Plata, who collects, like I collect everything. Well, not everything. Everything with a narrative. He collects particular ecologies, and he found this model. Now, I personally, historically, don't look for fossil models like this, but it was a cool deal we made to get one. So like great, but because the model, like I said, the models have their scales. But again, this guy, not wrong. He comes with a little clay. You stand on there. It was a pack of 3 actually, and he told me last time I talked to him that the company selling these, they told him that the Raptors only. Now they come with an acro. I know, right? So again, this guy really good. You can see the features there. The feathers start on the face. The hands are pretty good. The hands look a little too big actually. Not thinking about it, but good enough. We don't know how much downing they had, how much feather they had. We just know from their relatives, but I wouldn't be upset with like these two. These two are good. These are like, if you're buying a Raptor, Deinonychus, go with this guy. If you're a model collector, go with this guy. These are Jurassic James approved. The company, I believe, is Safari, right? Let me double check. Safari, yeah. So that's a really good example. Safari here. This will be in more easily to acquire. So I would go for this if you're a collector. The rest of these guys, like I wouldn't say throw them away because Toy Story messed me up mentally. But the idea is that they're not as accurate. They're good examples of how things have changed. But like this guy is the most accurate to date of Deinonychus. So with that being said, let's look over 2 things. One, I mentioned how that we know certain things about Deinonychus. You yourself have family members, cousins, and things, and your cousins don't look like you, kind of, but they have your traits sometimes because of genetics and stuff. So to study these animals, we only find certain parts of them, so we use our cousins. What I didn't realize is there are very few dromaeosaurs other than Velociraptor for sale on the market. What I'm saying is, of course, there's the Utahraptor, who's the largest. These are to scale. And of course, there's Velociraptor, who's on the market. And again, they're not to scale. In fact, that's good. Here's the Velociraptor by comparison. And the other example I can show you is a Microraptor. So these guys are the only dromaeosaurs: Velociraptor, Microraptor, Utahraptor, and Deinonychus. In fact, when I first saw this one, I was in Toys R Us, rest in peace, and I saw it and said, "Oh, great, another Velociraptor," and it was made poorly. I said, "No, wait, this is like Papo. Wait, Papo. Wait, Shlee. Which company is this? Shlee." I said, "No, they don't do just anything." I said, "The skull looks like Utahraptor," and I was like, "Oh, the Utahraptor!" I got really excited. I bought 2. The point is, that's so. One of the most well-preserved dromaeosaurs of all time is Microraptor. I actually have a newer model of one actually, but that'll be a different video, different time. And a lot of its parts are in feather orientation, or what we determine or apply to these guys. Now, I will tell you this: in the the dromaeosaur family tree, Microraptor is a little more basal, kind of the base of this group. And these guys are usually higher up, so we can't assume every trait that like this one has, they have too. It's like comparing. I'm not sure, lemurs to like us kind of thing. Like it's in the same grouping, but like it's still a different branch of the grouping, or other apes, gibbons maybe. So you don't want to apply too much across. But again, what we have is based on that. Now, as far as ecology goes, Deinonychus lived in Montana, and that's why Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park was digging in Montana. The idea was that it was argued by, I think, Gregory Paul that Deinonychus was the same species of Velociraptor found in Mongolia, and that's why that all kind of convoluted the story. But in North America this time, the animal that Deinonychus is always linked to is an animal called Tenontosaurus. Again, these aren't to scale. In fact, these are closer to scale. And whenever you see a book, you'll see Tenontosaurus looking back and roaring and fighting, and like 3 Deinonychus jumping on it. That's based on a find where Tenontosaurus skeletons are found with bite marks that match Deinonychus. So the understanding is that they are hunting in packs like that. So that's one thing you'll see like in pop culture and books and everything. You'll see this connected. That's why. So Tenontosaurus, actually, fun fact, the name Tenontosaurus means tendon lizard because the tail is longer than the whole body. Equally long. And it's a kind of iguanodont. So speaking of that, let's look at this neighborhood. He has the Iguanodon itself. The Iguanodon is the like Model T Ford champion of the early Cretaceous period. At one point in its own little story, Iguanodon was thought to be almost every continent, and they're now renaming those different genuses. But you know, that's the guys found here. They do not make what do you call it? Sauroposeidons, I'm aware of. So for our analogy here, we're using a Brachiosaurus model, which is their close relative, a Macronarian. So again, not to scale, neighborhood. Here we have the Acrocanthosaurus I got from Museum in Houston, and again, not to scale. And last but not least, we have two more animals to show off that are in the same relative region or time frame. Sauropelta, which when I saw at the museum gift shop, I was like, oh my god, I have to have it, you know. So I bought that one. And then Gastonia, which is actually found in association more with Utahraptor, different video, different time. But the idea here is that these guys, this is the early Cretaceous. Now, why is such a big deal? The late Jurassic North America, we have sauropods. It's the age of giants. We have Brachiosaurus, North America, Diplodocus, Apatosaurus, Barosaurus, Camarasaurus, and Stegosaurus running around, and Allosaurus hunting those animals. There are small saurosaurs like Ornitholestes in the area too, but that's pretty much the design. We don't see the horned allosaurs, the Ceratopsians, and the Hadrosaurs until much later. In fact, the latest of the late Cretaceous kind of point. So when the Jurassic fission event happens and the Cretaceous begins, it's like Jurassic Light. And what I mean is there's still sauropods, not as many, there's still sauropods. And instead of stegosaurs, we have mainly nodosaurs or ankylosaurs, basically. And you know, Iguanodon is there, the Ankylosaurus. Before that, in the Jurassic was like the Camptosaurus, little enisopods. And we're seeing that design changes. The difference is instead of Allosaurus, we have Acro, which is like an Allosaurus, basically. Allosaurus descendant or of that parallel line. And the Ornitholestes appearance is the raptors themselves. But what's really unique is the raptors start big. So you have like, well, we have Microraptor, of course, in China, and Gracie Raptor. But you have Utahraptor and Deinonychus in North America too. So we're seeing that shift. So we don't see the late Cretaceous like big duckbills and horned dinosaurs until like in late Cretaceous period. So I call it Jurassic Light. It's kind of like a transitional period. Even though I don't want to frame it in your mind that, oh yeah, we're getting somewhere better. Like at the time these animals lived, they were the most advanced animals of their group. You know, in fossil record, like they were the top. It's just looking at the hindsight of his fossil record, you can say, oh yeah, but we see this other thing happen in late Cretaceous. But this is the environment there, and that's Deinonychus in a nutshell. It's a kind of a brief history. Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of these guys just say made in China, so I couldn't find their company. So, but again, if you're looking for a Deinonychus figure, the safari one, I highly suggest this one. It's like really, really accurate. It makes me very happy. I wish they were. I wish they'd like take this look and make like 3 or 4 designs. Like one, the claws out like this. One, like that would be really cool. But you know, a girl can dream, can't she? That being said, thank you. This is Jurassic James, and I'll see you next video.